Hello and welcome back to Find Your Inner Flavor. I am one of your hosts, Becky Schoenig, and my co-host, Gregory Owens over there. We are the owners of SymBowl, located in Kirkwood, St.Charles, and Chesterfield, Missouri. We want to take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's episode, Nationwide Processing. If you've ever been to any of those festivals, a lot of the music festivals, the heritage festivals, all of that, and you see the ATM machines, because oftentimes those booths only take cash. Nationwide Processing is probably the place that's putting those ATM machines in there. Strip clubs, you've seen them. I don't know if Nationwide does it.
I have never been to a strip club.
But using cash is a lost trade in today's world, and Nationwide Processing helps small businesses because the credit card fees can oftentimes be a little bit more overwhelming than we'd like to think it is. So using cash when you're working with your small local businesses is always helpful, and Nationwide Processing helps that.
It helps teach the young people math skills.
Yeah.
Because they literally don't know how to make change.
So we want to thank Rusty with Nationwide Processing for being the sponsor. If you are interested in having an ATM machine in your facility, you can reach them at 314-227-5222 or www.atmcreditcard.com. Okay, let's get started on our
business
show.
is over.
Yeah,
Yay.
Business is over. I think we did a good job on that.
Sounded great.
Joining us today is a longtime friend,
True.
I'd like to say.
Yeah.
And I like also saying that many of the people that we spend the most time with have been met through our locations, through SymBowl, mostly through the Kirkwood location. My best friends today are a lot of the customers that's how I met them.
I was going to say, who
and
have
we
you
have,
not met through there?
Yeah, and we have kind of a unique, so tell us about your first time coming in.
So
What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
Danny. I said Danny. With
Did you?
ReasonWhy Productions.
No, you didn't.
We did now.
Well,
Yeah, way
now
to go.
everybody knows this is Danny.
with ReasonWhy Productions.
That's right. So I met Becky. I lived down the street from the Kirkwood SymBowl location. And I say 2 or 3 years ago.
Go ahead.
You can say
You can
it.
complain about
Yes,
Hot Pot.
I prefer to call it Hot Pot, but I was trying to be consistent with branding. So
fine.
anyway, I went to the Hot Pot a few years ago. It's when my business, video production business, had been going on for like maybe a year by then, and I was just looking for any clients. Went in there to get some food. Girl behind the counter doing the cashier happened to be Becky's daughter. Didn't know it at the time. I said, hey, this place is pretty cool looking. Do you guys have a website with a video? And she was like, well, I don't know, but talk to my mom. She loves to meet people and talk to people. Just give my mom a call. Here's her number. And that's how I met Becky.
She gave out her phone number?
Give out.
Wow.
She did give out my phone number.
Holy crap.
It's not something that usually happens, but my daughter
Don't
is
give out
really
your
quick to give
number.
my phone number out to all kinds of
Yeah,
people.
I was very pleased. So yeah, that's how we met.
So we sat and we met. You did do a video for us.
Mm-hmm.
But we've done a handful of different.
So I'd say that, I mean, there's a couple things that you guys have done as far as like, I mean, we've done video work, but the thing that you guys have really done for me is like, you know, especially Becky, no offense, Greg.
I just cook.
Yeah,
He
Becky
feeds
just,
you.
I get it.
he feeds me the food. But then, you know, Becky's helped me, you know, personally, professionally, and in other ways as far as just like learning, growing, and changing. And that's kind of what life is about to me. So.
And it has been fun watching you through the journey, because I've seen where you've been stuck.
Yeah.
And then where you've like blossomed fully, and then you get stuck
again. And then another step. That's kind of the cycle I've started to learn. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool though, you know, even being in that lull is never fun, but like, and just recently a lot of stuff happened, and I was, you know, had a stressful couple months, but I just knew that if you keep going, you'll, you know, at your lowest points, you know, come the higher points. So it's kind of like okay to be down.
You know,
sometimes.
on my end, it's interesting to see, just because your small business, which is nothing like our business, still has the same ebb and flow, the same
right.
the
And I think it's
same
relative to everything, like right.
You know,
Right?
I think probably every small business person out there probably has the same issues, and I guess we kind of know this because we talk to them, and it's amazing how if we can continue that community sort of thing, how much help everybody can get from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of
because
been
I mean that
interesting to
really
see.
is, and I think that's a lot of what we do. It's why I enjoy and like knowing who our regular customers are, and knowing what you do, because I refer a lot of.
Yeah, and you hooked me up big time on that too. I mean, you've introduced me to some people that I've continued to do work with, and it's pretty awesome.
So you are pretty up close and personal with us and our business. You've
Yes.
seen things that and heard conversations that really little to nobody.
Probably should have some sort of contract or some sort of like
Non-disclosure.
by the way,
Right, yeah. I do feel like I'm somehow unimportant but integral part of Hot Pot.
You
SymBowl.
are.
You know what I mean?
You are. Well, and
I tell myself that.
You were also the beginning part years ago when we started our Sketch Eats.
Right.
Web series was kind of what we were doing with it. You were one of the people that kind of pushed us to start doing something.
I did do that.
with that.
And
And
I
now
did.
here we are, like 3 years later, with
I
this.
can't believe it's been that long.
This going on, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, we're in the midst of recording we're going to launch a crowdfund in, we're hoping to do it in January.
Right.
if editing can happen.
And we're kind of taking a different angle on it. So we're doing this crowdfund for 3 different reasons for the most part. The first reason is because when we rebranded a year and a half ago to SymBowl, we lost a lot of the following, or a lot of people don't know who SymBowl is and what SymBowl does. So it is a branding platform for us. The second purpose and reason is because we need to raise some capital so that we can create more of the products that we're wanting to do on a retail side in the specialty diet area, mostly in the AIP protocol. And the third reason is because we've heard, I've heard some stories. I believe San Diego is one of the big cities that does this. They pull in a lot of their new businesses because of crowdfunding. So we're curious as to what kind of a crowdfund we could do and how successful it could be, because it could become the blueprint of how we
and
put out more
this just
symbols.
this occurred to me, but really a lot of businesses brought into different communities through crowdfunding. Just people don't know it.
Right.
It's here in St. Louis area we have the TIF financing. The incremental tax, whatever it is. That's essentially crowdfunding. It's just mandated through the government rather than the voice of the people.
Yeah.
And I guess for us, well, I mean, it isn't really. I mean, so it's really not this bizarre notion. This is already being done. We're just being just like we are with everything, very upfront and authentic about it. Hey, we need your help to continue to do what we do, to move into different areas. But how do you're integral to us to get that message out.
Right. The message is important.
Well, and it's also, it was a timing for you,
Right.
where it was trying to push you to get you out of your comfort zone,
Right.
in your work.
Right.
And so we just kind of said, okay, let's do this project together,
Right.
and see what unfolds. So you have had, we've done 3 days of recording.
Yep.
What are you kind of learning? What are you kind of finding?
So I'm going to back up real quick,
Yeah.
though. So back to Sketch Eats a couple of years ago. I just want to put this in a reference for people. So it was kind of I did push them to do Sketch Eats, and then, we did it for a while, and then I kind of got overwhelmed with it and kind of backed out in the not the best way I could have probably. So for a while, I was a bit distant from Becky and Greg, and I would say that, as part of the process, my process, I learned that, and it goes back to what you just said, is that I was always too hyper focused on doing everything perfect, or in my head the expectation of perfect, which caused me to then not do anything. And I was telling my dad just this morning that about this exact thing, is that when I was a kid, I would either clean my room all the way through, or I wouldn't clean it at all. So what Becky helped me do more recently, and I kind of knew it already, I just needed the extra push, is that just do versus trying to do it perfect every time. So I want to get that in a reference. Okay, so what am I saying now?
So just some of the things that you
that I've
have,
learned now.
Through the recording,
right.
Some things that maybe we're coming across that is a little bit of a surprise.
2 things I can think of. The first thing is the idea, or is the reality that our society and culture in the United States, I would say, and I'm not an expert by any means, but it does seem like that the emphasis is not on creating wellness or providing wellness, which part of that's healthy food. It's more of let's feed you whatever you can feed for cheap, and then we'll fix you when you get sick. So, the idea that the wellness community is so important, yet under marketed or under whatever you want to call it, it's not known. And it needs to be known. That's the one thing. And then the second thing is the idea that, and I mean, with the crowdfunding, like, the idea that communities in any state, small or big, can come together and say, "Hey, we want this for our community." Because it's not just about food. Food is kind of like the cornerstone. But I mean, like the plan is. I can talk about the kind of
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's not just about food. It's about providing a place where people can come, eat healthy food, and then learn and educate themselves and meet other people who want to live happy, healthy lives, because that's kind of fundamentally, I think, what we all want, right?
Yeah.
So what I think would be really cool is the idea that, for some reason, I always think of like North Dakota. I don't know why, but like a small town
way
in
too
North
damn
Dakota.
cold. No.
Well, my point is that like a small town in North Dakota can come together and say, "Hey, community of 500 people or whatever, we want and need to live healthier lives and be healthy. Let's come together. Let's create a SymBowl here in small town North Dakota and be healthy and be happy." And to me, that would, really change things to offer that way to live to communities big or small.
Well, what we're learning throughout all of this, and oftentimes why I say get uncomfortable and start doing something, like go into action mode, is because
Opens.
you can't predict what it's supposed to necessarily be until you start doing it. And once you start doing it, you discover and unfold pieces that now all of a sudden start fitting together.
And that stuff
better.
is terrifying to me. And that's what I was saying earlier, is like the doing, it becomes scary because two things: you can do and not succeed, or you can do and succeed, which for me is like sort of even scarier, because when you succeed, you don't stop. You
just raised the bar.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
there's a new level
okay.
of expectation, and it's just crazy. It gets, it's scary to me.
Absolutely. I mean, and for me, I have to struggle with it because my profession is, you can't put out a half-assed product.
No.
Sometimes you try different things and, blah, 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 and you have to put out things that you're not 100% sure of to get feedback. But at the end of the day, for us, it's a consistency issue.
Consistently great, by the way.
Wow, good plug. Still to this day, one of my absolute biggest compliments was I was the first non-family chefs to take over one of a family's operations when they opened up another unit. And the chef came up to me and said, "Hey, so-and-so was down at the new place, and they were giving me all sorts of, applause and stuff because they couldn't understand how I could run both operations at the same time," which for me meant that I was able to essentially keep up that level, and people didn't even know that there had been a change in management or whatever, the kitchen. But how can you continue to perform there and still take risk at the same time? And for us, especially with what we do with trying so many, sometimes very challenging diets and trying to help so many people, which, we're all unique and everybody's needs are unique. How do you manage to keep that consistent, but still fluid enough to help people that, really they don't have any other
right, and I think
outlet.
And I think that a half, or not an answer, but it goes back to what Becky said. It's like, as long as we keep doing, it will, in the right intentions, the right mindset, it will just happen the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, everything starts unfolding, because one of the things that we're learning, diving back in and really, really honing in on who we are and what we do, and having more and more conversations and meeting more doctors who focus on food as medicine, or food plays a role in how they treat their patients in some level, is one of the downsides is that the doctor is a doctor or a chiropractor is a chiropractor. They're not a chef. They're going to give you the food and say, here's the food that you need to eat, or these are the things that you need to eliminate.
Or don't eat, which is even harder. Right?
But now they're the ones, those are the patients and the customers coming into our shop. And we've learned through the years that they don't always understand what it is. And we're having to guide them, teach them, show them. And what we're learning and finding out is that there's more failure from these people failing because they don't know the food aspect of it. So what we're hoping for is to bring more and more awareness that that's what SymBowl is there for. And we're going to, and because of the crowdfund and the conversations we're having through these recordings, we're saying, hey, let's pull in doctors series. Hey, let's do more education.
I think from the get-go, we wanted to be a small smoothie coffee shop with food and just like this little community spot. Obviously, that's morphed, but I think the food and some of the beverages still were kind of like that bar or that coffee shop where people go to in the morning for information, or they stop by to see what's going on. We're trying to formulate ourselves to be a clearinghouse for a local farmer, or the local chicken guy, Matt from Buttonwood Farms. How can he continue to grow if he doesn't have an outlet for his product? How can a doctor continue to have success with his patients without somewhere for those people to go?
Yeah, it really takes a team of everybody. I mean, even when it comes to us doing the education piece with Find Your Inner Flavor, it takes a team. It takes Matt, it takes Mark, it takes the Gaslight, it takes Danny. I mean, we can't do anything.
It takes wonderful sponsors like Nationwide Processing.
Yeah, it's hard to Nationwide Processing.
It really.
Don't forget about our hopeful sponsor, Citywide.
Yeah, 4 hands at some point. Hopefully, will jump on the bandwagon.
Get off. Yeah.
So let's talk about. You didn't stop recording, did
No.
you?
Okay.
Never stop.
He did a Vanna White thing there.
Let's talk about one of the things that we kind of started. We were doing with all of the interviews. I would ask them a question.
The 3 question.
I'd say you need to. Can you
at the end? It was she would engage them in a conversation very tactfully, so
Was
they
I
didn't
working? Because I don't
You
recall.
worked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't
worked.
worry.
And
Somebody
she'd
got
engage them in this great conversation where half the time they didn't even realize they were being interviewed yet. And then at the end of the conversation, she would say, describe SymBowl in 3 words without using the word restaurant. And I'd say that if we interviewed, 8 people, 10 people, something like that?
Yeah.
I'd say that if there was 10 people interviewed, I think that 7.5 or 8 of them said at least one of the words was community. And each time, I'd anticipate it, and each time I'd be like, yes, when they did it, because it's true. It's completely true. Eating food is. I'm a healthy guy with no dietary restrictions at all that I can think of. The only thing I won't eat is bananas. But it's even hard for me to eat. I feel
Do
like
you not like bananas?
everything
come
about
on.
them, texture, smell, taste. Ugh.
What the?
It's the grossest thing. Very phallic-y. It's just so disgusting. So
jeez.
okay, the phallic part doesn't bother me, but just the texture, taste, and it's just gross. But my point is that it's hard enough to eat with no restrictions, and the community created it at SymBowl to make sure that we're doing it right is huge, and everyone knows it. You know what I mean? It's
Not
a definite.
everyone.
Well,
That's part.
the
That's
people
why we're
who
trying to get
the people
this
who are
out
already
there.
part of it, whether they realize it or not, they feel like they're part of something that is supportive and loving and caring that they may not have in other parts of their life. And it's
Yeah.
from SymBowl. I mean, period.
I think for us, that's a big thing of our transparency, and we want to be that restaurant that's kind of like your best friend that you know everything. You know where they're coming from. You know where they've been. Just making our recipes, what's in our products, very transparent, being very honest about where we get our product, being very honest with our menus.
Right. I think that the transparency is very important in anything, and that's one reason why I do the videos I do is because it'll, and this is by no means, but it's,
I'll plug yourself.
Well,
Shameless
but it's
plug.
not. But it's not.
Absolutely.
But
you
it-
should talk about
right.
why you do what you do and why I continue pushing you
Right.
to do more of what it is that you're good at doing.
Right. I mean, as far as I think that authenticity and honesty and transparency is important in anything, especially in business, because as a consumer, I do not like the idea of going to a place where I feel like the people who own it or the people that work there are like, oh, the customers are here. Oh, why are all these clients here? Oh, why is the shop so full? I want it to be like, to where you feel like you can relate to a person who owns a business, right? So which is why I focus my videos on the reason why they're passionate, the reason why they love what they do, the reason why they do what they do. It allows people to, let's just say there's a guy who is an insurance salesman, comes in the hot pot and meets Becky, the owner, and they may not do the same thing, but they may both have a passion for something, or they may both want to be healthy, and that in and of itself creates a connection. We create connections, stronger community, better people, happier people, peace and love. But that's the idea. I mean, I'm serious. It's,
But that's a change because I can tell you just in my, whatever years, that authenticity and that openness is half being forced upon us because you have social media everywhere.
Right.
But it's very scary too. It's
not if you're doing the right thing, though.
Well,
I think that's the thing that's
the kicker.
right.
That's the kicker.
I think that's the part that's starting to separate what's going to make the difference between this business here and this business over here more successful is how authentic, how real, how honest, how vulnerable can
vitally
you be,
important.
which becomes
Well, but it's also there has to be at some point a shift between the consumer, respecting and participating in that process too.
Right.
Because as long as we, I don't want to say a bottom feeding mentality, but until the consumer shifts from what is the cheapest, the best coupon, the best deal, the best whatever, to what do I truly want to spend my money on. And honestly, I think this year we might have sort of seen a little bit of shift with just even something as, whatever is the Black Friday sales. How many mega corps honestly chose to not be open?
right.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
Well,
it
I
was
think
a
that
big
they-
one.
I think in a lot of ways
finally
they
got a
hurt-
little bit of feedback from the customer, like, "Hey,
I
this
think it
is
hurt them.
to not be open or
I
to
think
be open?
To be open.
I think there was enough stigma of seriously, just give people a day off, and were you old enough to remember when things were not open on Sundays? And you
I was 35, so I mean, I was born in 82.
Sort
He
of.
looks much younger.
You do. That's why
right.
I'm asking.
Unless
'cause
I do
you're
this.
such this is stylish now.
When the
You
truth
see,
comes out.
This guy should be in the kitchen. He's got the tats,
No.
the beard
I
with,
don't have
with
the-
the shaved
I
head.
can't stand that long.
Oh,
I
you
got a
even
bad
got
back.
the Ray-Ban glasses. You're hipster trendy, dude.
Well,
Flat-
I'm not a hipster
flat
trendy,
hat.
but
Oh, yeah.
I'm just me, guys.
Yeah.
Just me.
But I think there is a bit of a shift in trying to find it's not all the value. What is considered value is not necessarily money. People are willing to help people like us that are really trying to support other small businesses, are trying to do something that is unique and in the long run beneficial to
Everybody.
community, society. We're trying to do it in as close to a value-oriented way as we can, which, when you do what we do, it's not going to be a $2.99 Happy Meal. We're trying to make
and we're
trying
all,
to do the right thing.
We all have bills to pay and we all have to make money. But what I hope I oftentimes do is push somebody. The money will come when you move forward doing the things that you're passionate
Yes.
about. The money just starts showing up.
It's the wildest thing ever. Can I please share?
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago, I was at a pretty low point as far as it was just tough. I came into Becky. I tried to back out of a shoot like a giant, you know what. And
I'm not nice.
Becky
I'm
called me on it immediately.
She's a mean girl.
So I went out to the location, we shot, and then afterwards I was like, "Hey, can we talk?" And she goes, "Yeah, let's connect." So we sat down, and without getting into too much detail, she basically told me that you just got to quit, suck it up, start doing. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about anything. Just do what you do. You're good at it. And I don't have a lot of confidence, even whether I should or shouldn't is irrelevant, but I just don't. And so that gave me that, okay, so something clicked in my brain. So I literally, that day, said, all right, I'm just going to start doing it. I made a list of passion projects. I started editing pictures that didn't have money. I started working on a video that has no money related to it. And no joke, within maybe less than a week, I got an email from the communications lady at Washington University Engineering Department to edit a video for him before Christmas, and which will set me up for the month.
Yeah.
And it was, and there's no other reason that it happened because I opened myself up, got out of my own way, and it literally came to me.
Well, I used to manage a salon and spa, and when they'd bring in new employees, gals that just came out of training, and they were very slow, I'm like, do somebody's hair. do somebody's hair. Just constantly be doing somebody's hair, do this, do that. Because that busyness attracts, it's that energy.
It's wild. It's wild.
I mean, anybody in the restaurant business will know. It is the most mistakes, the most problems occur when it's slow.
Oh.
You would rather be so far in the shits, so far.
Vortex.
It's like I don't know if it's a mental, if it's for you spiritual, I don't know what it is, but if you're not doing, you're not succeeding, I guess.
You're not doing. You're not. That's
well,
it.
and
You're
I
not
think
doing.
one of the other things too for you, Danny, is you've got to give yourself credit. You're pretty much a full-time dad.
Yeah, I know.
You know, raising a little girl, and she's your priority.
Correct. And
so it is a challenge when you're an entrepreneur and doing your own business and you have your passion.
Right.
But it doesn't always work out because you have this little girl that you've got to take care of.
Well, and that goes back to Greg talking about what is valuable. Like where do you have value? And when he's so saying that, I thought to myself, you know, like you said, money's important. We all have to have it. It's like
absolutely.
But like the fact that I'm able to be at home, like not working on a project I should be because I have to take care of my kid, I would much rather have that stress than the stress of being told I have to be at a job at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh,
So
that makes sense.
So that to me, you know, speaking of value,
Yes,
that's
too.
the value in it, you know, for me as far as that goes. And also, happy birthday, Gia. Her birthday was on Friday. She's 5 now. Oh,
This will be a month later, and she'll be like, "Man, Dad, that's really old."
I'm party tonight.
I'm 5 in a month.
Yeah.
So, what are a couple of other things that I'll give you permission to share a few secrets if you know of any of the SymBowl secret, like some of the things that you see behind the scenes.
Okay. Well, if I say them, I say them. I don't even know what secrets I know.
I mean, what are some of the things that you notice and recognize that happen inside the shop?
So
that that's not usually what anybody sees or knows.
Well, I don't know if it's about anything Caesar knows, but I do know that whether people realize it or not, when they walk into that place, there's a pretty good chance that, at least for me, maybe it's just me, but I always feel like I see someone I know or have some sort of like interaction that I would probably not have at any other type of place like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Be it with an employee that I've come to every day or someone I know or seeing you or whatever. I mean, that's one thing. One thing that drives me crazy is that when I've never really said this before, is that like when people who've never been there before take for fucking ever to order, that drives me up the wall because
We're
they're just
working
like
on that.
it's almost like it's not your guys' fault. It's just like pick what you want. It's great. I mean, anyway, that I don't know. Standing in line behind someone who's never been there before is the most frustrating.
But so what we're going to
Say that or not.
challenge you to do is next time you see that, you engage that person,
right?
Because that's happened.
We have
very
that actually
frequently.
happen quite frequently, where a regular customer turns around and goes, "Oh, this is what I get."
I
Or
always
this-
tell people how
yeah.
good it is. I'll be like, "This is the best stuff you'll
Well,
ever
it's
eat."
not. It's good. It's help them out.
Yeah, I
because
know.
it is for us. It is an education. We're
Right.
not the normal place,
Right.
and it is. I mean, it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sure.
You make 4.
That's why I'm so shocked it takes so long. It's the most simplified way to order great food ever.
But
But a Starbucks, you would think the same thing walking into a Starbucks that, oh, this is just common sense when I'm ordering a coffee. You've never
yeah,
been
it's
into a
confusing.
Starbucks before to order a coffee. That's confusing.
When I hear certain things, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about?
But you've also been there when, like, I'm just going to say Stacy. I'm not going to go into what we're doing with her quite yet. But you were there at a moment where I just said, this is somebody we're helping, and
right.
started.
Yeah, so that was cool because it sort of happened out of nowhere. Becky had been talking about Stacy, who's listening to us and probably wondering like, oh God, what are they say about me? But she told me about Stacy a little bit, and because I don't think you had even met her or known her yet.
We knew her, but we didn't
that was
ever have a
probably
real
really the first
conversation.
time.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we want to help her out. It'd be so cool to like, see if she can eat SymBowl food and see if it helps her out and all this stuff. And so we were filming at St.Charles last week, and she was in there, and it literally, like, Becky and Greg sat down and talked to her. I got up some cameras, and it literally became this like, it's hard to explain because it sounds kind of corny, but it was like this magical little moment. You know what I mean? It was like this thing where it was almost like it was destined or like meant to happen. Does that make sense?
And that's where I take somebody who uses video to share stories. It's very seldom you capture the very first initial conversation
Right.
in an idea or a project
Right.
that turns into something. You'll have a conversation, you'll brainstorm, do all that kind of stuff, and then you'll go, oh yeah, let's schedule this recording on this date, and then let's start doing it. it's not often that you can capture that
Right.
because that's the rawness.
Right.
And I think that that's
Authenticity.
kind of what we do with SymBowl. That's what you do with ReasonWhy Productions.
Yeah.
It's why we love this avenue for education. It's the rawness of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's the things that are not perfectly scripted. You don't know the answers that are going to
Mm-hmm. Right.
happen. But you just choose to take a step and experience it.
The best, when I make my why videos for my clients, the best content comes from, because I have a couple like core questions I ask, like, who are you? What do you do? And share with me the reason why you do what you do. But typically the best content in a why video comes from the conversations or the things I'll ask as they're speaking that sparks the question in my mind. And that's almost 99% of the time, that's where the best stuff comes from in those videos. Kind of like what you're saying
Yeah.
right now, right? So it's true, it works.
So what do you eat when you come into SymBowl?
Spicy beef bowl, green curry, Thai rice noodles, everything except for cabbage, celery, tomato, and scallions.
What do you got against
Those,
cabbage?
Yeah, really.
I almost choked on. Cabbage is it's a little bit. I don't know. The cabbage. I like cabbage. It's not in the bowl. I almost choked on a piece of celery and a scallion once, so they're out. And I just don't like hot tomatoes.
What, did you not know how to chew?
Well, it was just. I don't know. It freaked me out, so I stopped getting them. But yeah, and I don't like warm tomatoes that much. So, but it's good. It's good every time. I think it's better every time. I always say that the food at SymBowl and the kombucha tea from Con Blue is better every time.
I was going
eat
to
or
say
drink
that's
it.
what Danny always does. He buys a bottle of Con Blue, sits there, drinks his kombucha, eats his bowl.
and talk about how great it is.
You do.
And hope I
You
see
do.
someone else. And even Gia likes just like the Thai rice noodles with the bone broth and the Jedi smoothie. So she also loves it.
I will. Yeah, it's the little kids are the ones that
The
we
little-
particularly gravitate to.
That's
We-
our biggest compliment, I think, when we can get a
when
little
we
kid
can
who's
Yeah.
get a kid that comes in.
Yeah.
She's a
and-
picky eater. She likes salami. Not that I
one's
don't,
salami?
but like every meal, like, gee, what do you want? Salami. Every
Well,
meal.
it's delicious.
She calls my brother
salami.
Uncle
That's
Salami.
funny because it's usually chicken for kids.
she
Like
might
if it's
choose
going to
that.
be a meat, it's
Yeah.
usually
She
chicken
loves
chicken
salami.
nuggets.
She'll like put it on her
Nuggets.
No, the kids are the best when they come in and you're like, well, okay, the kid wants this, and then they scarf it down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or we become their favorite place. That's the place that they want to come and
Yeah.
eat at.
And eating healthy is very stressful, I think, for anybody. But it's very good to know when you're feeding your kid good, healthy food. I mean, for me as a parent, at least, it's like, because I mean, I want my kid to enjoy ice cream, and I want my kid to enjoy a plate full of salami and things like that. But I also want her to like get the right
full
amount of
of
protein
salami.
in her brain and like get the right amount of like other vitamins. And
well, I
important
mean,
things.
that's
So-
why that is a big part of why we've done, you said it's so simple. It's 4 things that you have to choose for your ordering your food.
Right.
But it's one of the reasons that we do those, from the get-go. We've never nickeled and dimed on
Can't.
extra vegetables or whatever that sort of thing is.
When I one of the first times I ordered a bowl, or I ordered a bowl or a sandwich or something a long time ago, before I think I even knew you guys, and there was too much sauce. It must have been a sandwich because there was too much sauce. So the next time I ordered one, I was like, "Can you add the sauce on the side?" And they were
Oh, that
just
would have
like,
been a bowl.
That would have been bowl.
No. Well,
yeah,
it must
we-
have been a bowl then because
Yeah.
'cause
we
you
don't
can't-
do
Because we
sauce.
said we don't do sauce on the side.
And then when I met you guys and realized why, and at the time I was like, "That's so stupid. Why are they not putting the sauce on the side?" But then
Because
I realized
I'm chefy enough that
because
I'm like,
I get it now. It makes total sense.
I mean,
It's a fundamental part of it.
they're probably in the 5
now you
whatever
like
plus.
it extra saucy.
Oh, the more sauce, the
5,
better.
5+ years.
Nika.
There have only been a couple, maybe 3 people that we have literally said we can't help you.
Yeah.
One was a raw vegan with no garlic, only sprouted soy,
Jeez.
and something else too. It was just like, oh my god!
You got to go to.
I have
impossible.
no idea how you can.
Well,
live.
when we open up the floodgates to say this is
But
what we
we-
do, we attract some that are really challenging just on the human side to deal with, much less in a restaurant.
I saw the
Yeah.
new menus, by the way. That's pretty cool.
just-
How you have specific menus now?
Well, we've
we've just keep
had
adding
that.
to
We've
it.
just been adding
Oh,
to
yeah.
it.
I didn't.
We
That was
added
just very. I think
keto.
that's very cool.
The keto has
ketogenic.
been, yeah.
I eat Atkins without the crap. That's how. I mean,
It
basically,
pretty
that's what
much,
it is.
yeah, it's pretty close.
Atkins out without fake candy bars.
And the vegans, for some reason, felt left out because they didn't have their own menu. And then we sit there and we go, You can't look at this and figure
Vegans.
out
So
what is.
pretentious.
Don't eat the meat and
bone broth.
Okay, so
Don't eat the bone broth.
This is a funny. Maybe we'll make the blooper clip. All right, this is like the people that come in, the vegan that comes in and asks, "Oh, is the bone broth vegan?"
It has the
like-
word bone in it.
right.
Doesn't anything living have a bone in it?
What is it that you don't get? And people seriously don't know what the hell they're putting in their bodies.
That's right.
So your reason why, it could be any company, any product. People really just simply don't research.
Right.
They don't know.
Right.
And why that art is lost, I don't get it. We
Because
all
it-
have
because-
smartphones that we just Google. And I think, God, if maybe we're that lazy that we're not.
Absolutely. Our society has been, especially with food, has been, made to be lazy. It's not a secret. It's how things are.
But it's so
easier the better.
accepted. And for us, that's a huge battle. And that is why, I'll plug you, but somebody that can and do a reason why is beneficial for a small business or for someone like us.
Right.
Because how can you get that message out in a way that people understand? And right now it is Facebook, it's YouTube, it's what I think, was it Google and YouTube are now damn near the tied for most searched, I think.
Right. I believe it.
That's insane.
Yeah, speaking of the why thing, the power of the why, Simon Sinek is all about it, but he basically says that, the companies and the businesses that succeed know their why. And then everything, they know their whys first, and then the how, and then the what. The what is the least, like, what you guys do, essentially, or what we do is the least important thing. It's why we do it that's important.
Right.
It's fundamentally important.
Well, and when you can have somebody understand that, they're more bought into wanting to work with you.
Right, because it creates a connection.
Yeah.
Everyone has a reason why they do everything. Every day, it's why do we do this, why do we do that.
Which is why I think crowdfunding is one of the top trends
it back
for
around.
Bring it back.
why.
Really good.
Excellent.
Why?
Really good.
I got my yeah. This
Really
is how,
good.
This is what I do, guys.
Yeah.
I know.
Crowdfunding.
So I think that's why crowdfunding becomes one of the leading ways for businesses to not only brand themselves, find some financial help and assistance. They're explaining why they're doing it. And there are people that want to jump on and be a part of what your vision is and what you're creating when you're on the right path and when you can explain that in alignment and they believe in it.
Right.
There's a lot of money out there. I trust and believe that to be very, very true. And there's a lot of people willing to help those that are leaving a legacy or doing something that they are in alignment with as well. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is another episode of Find Your Inner Flavor. Danny, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Where can people find you at?
ReasonWhyProductions.com, Instagram, Reason Why Productions, Facebook, Reason Why Productions. Hey, Nika. That's my girl. That's my
You
girlfriend.
can also find him oftentimes sitting at a table or in line at the Kirkwood location or at any Kirkwood event because you do a lot of video work.
Love Kirkwood.
Yeah.
Kirkwood, Missouri, best town in the world.
Wow. Kirkwood
Hey.
Pride. Yeah.
you see?
Go Pioneers.
So
right.
if
That's right.
if our crowdfund is launched, we're going to ask you to go ahead and follow us, like us, just on YouTube. Share it with your friends. Share it with your community. Share. Again, my name is Becky Schoenig.
Kick out the Rusty.
Oh,
And
yes.
this-
Thank
yeah.
you again to Rusty. And I'm just going to say this is a perfect example of somebody who nationwide processing, ATM machines. Why would they want to sponsor something like a food
Well, because
food blog
you
or a
wouldn't think of it.
food?
And I don't know what I would think of. He's a small business too.
He is.
With a family and children. And in an odd way, you're right. He's helping small businesses.
He's one of him and Bobby have been some of our greatest and biggest cheerleaders and supporters. And I think that's what this whole crowdfunding concept is all about, is that people out there want to help.
And they also, with anything, it's like when I was a kid, my dad would buy me new shoes or buy me something new and nice,
you
and I'd
got new
trash
shoes?
it, right? And it's right. But when I got older, I started buying my own stuff. And when I started buying my own stuff, I keep it real nice. So it's like when we're buying into this restaurant idea with the crowdfunding, it's the people who are part of it are responsible for it, and it makes them want to do it and have it be successful.
So again,
Excellent.
we're going to wrap this up unless somebody else has something else to say. Matt, anything on your end?
Cheers.
So find us at SymBowl in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and in St. Charles now. Again, my name is Becky. And
I'm Greg.
And we will see you the next time.
Cool.